Hey guys, back with another YouTube video. Today it's gonna be a video on all my charade knives I've collected over the years, and don't have very many of them, but it's a brand I do love. It's a brand I do love to collect, and I've gotten quite a few of them over the years. Some of them in trades, some of them that I bought, some of them that I got for Christmas, some of them I got from my dad. So in no particular order, I'll go starting on the fixed blades first. There is this one. This is a charade model 165 that I got in a trade a while back from a friend of mine. Beautiful knife. Love how thick this blade is. Definitely would be a good little skinning knife. Again, it really sucks Charade sold their rights to China. I only collect the USA stuff. Beautiful knife. Next is on this one I got in a trade as well. This is a Charade limited edition factory error version. And at first I didn't know this was a factory error until my good buddy JR, who knows quite a bit about these, talked to me about it. And he said this is originally supposed to be a Ducks Unlimited blade. And apparently when the factory was starting to shut down, they started taking whatever blades they had and just putting them on handles and selling them off, trying to get as many of them sold. And another reason I know that is this is another one I picked up at a flea market that has the same exact handle, just a different blade. Like this one has a 15-3UH blade, but the exact same style handle. So that's another thing to prove that my buddy was right, which I don't doubt my buddy for a second. He said he knew a bunch of people that worked for the Charade factory before it closed, and it's one of those things he knows the most about. That's why I call him when I need any information on Charade knives. Beautiful knife. Used to pick these up back at Kmart a while back before it shut down. There was only one in my town and it shut down. Again, beautiful knife. You don't really see them very often. And that's one of my favorites, being a factory error. And then there's this one that I picked up at a local flea market. And this one, it's still in slightly rough shape, but I was able to get it to a collectible condition. This took me hours of hand sanding to try to get all the grind lines and the dings out of it, but I got it all mostly smoothed out and to where you can read the logo a lot easier. Again, a model 15-3UH. Beautiful. Here's that beauty. That back in the sheath. Next is the only Charade Bowie knife I've got, and that's this one that I got from my uncle for Christmas a couple years ago. This is a Charade Old Timer Bowie, model 109198-1. Now you can actually pick this up at Walmart at around Christmas time, and my uncle knew that I loved Bowie knives, so he actually got me this one for Christmas. And I do actually use this knife from time to time when I'm doing burn piles and stuff like that. Since it's a cheap Bowie knife, I'm not afraid to chop with it and hack with it. And it does hold a decent edge, but it dulls really quick. I use this mainly when I'm doing burn pits and burning old firewood because it's a good little chopper and it's got a decent thick blade and it is full tang. So, makes a good little chopper. Just sucks it's only around Christmas time. And I would love to get the other version of this where it's one straight blade, not just one small blade going all the way out to a larger belly, which does make for a good chopper. So, thank you very much, Uncle Darren. I still love this thing, and I still use it from time to time. Eventually, I want to get a better sheath for this thing, because I don't really like this nylon sheath. I'll probably get a leather sheath made for it. Next is now getting into the large folders of the bunch. This is a Chinese version of the LB7. My father got me this, so that way I could do a comparison between the real LB7s and the Chinese brothers that are being made today. And the sheath is very well made despite being made in China. And it does actually say Charade Uncle Henry, but it's still made in China. Comes in the actual wax paper. And it is a beautiful knife, that's for sure, but I would never use it. because it just feels way too flimsy. And it's made in China. Yep, Scharade Uncle Henry trademark, LB7. Beautiful looking knife, but I would never use it because I would always use the USA ones. I would not use this China one. But in another video, I will compare this to the originals just to show you all the differences. So there's that one. Thank you very much, Dad. I look forward to doing that video sometime. Just one of the things on my to-do list. Yeah, back in the sheath and back in the box. And again, it really sucks they sold their rights. And so did Camillus and all those other good brands. Next is a real LB7. This is a Uncle Henry LB7. Wipe some of the oil off. Keep these oils so they don't get damaged. And this one I like because it's got a serial number on the side of it. And that's one of the things that fascinated me is they did serial number their knives. I know it's hard to see in the camera. Let's see if I can get it at the right angle. Well, it's kind of hard to see in the camera, but it's got a serial number right here on the bolster. And this is an Uncle Henry USA. Again, an LB7. Beautiful knife. I love the handles on this thing. It's amazing how this resembles the 110 very well. And it's very close in weight when compared to the 110. Beautiful knife. This one, if I recall, my father actually bought a lot of these. He got to keep one, and I got to keep another one for cleaning them up. Beautiful. Next is one with a slightly different colored handle. Another LB7, and this one is one without a serial number. This is another reason I collect it. Basically, this is the exact same knife, just without a serial number. Beautiful. This one, if I recall, I bought this one at a local pawn shop. Beautiful knife. Again, no serial number. Beautiful. Again, if it looks different than the ones I've got, I always want it. Next is another LB7. This is the one I have that's not an Uncle Henry. So I've got two Uncle Henrys, and this one's not an Uncle Henry. And this one has also got a serial number, so it's got the best of both worlds. It's not an Uncle Henry, it's before that, and it's got a serial number on the bolster. Beautiful knife. I think this is another one that I purchased myself. Again, very beautiful knife. This really sucks they sold their rights. This is one of my favorites. This is a custom one that I bought from my good buddy Nathan a while back. And glad to hear that he received the package on this thing. Beautiful knife. And I didn't do much to it. I cleaned it up, polished it up, made it look a lot nicer. Beautiful. And the model on this one is a 60T that's been modified. Beautiful. Next is a Scharade 1250T. I remember this one because this is the one I replaced the blade in. This one I got from a buddy of mine, and the blade that originally was in it was busted all the way to right here. So it really wasn't worth anything, but luckily I found some replacement blades on eBay, so I bought them, and they're the USA blades. I would not buy the China knockoffs. And I just simply took the old blade out and put this new one in it, and that looks a heck of a lot better. One of my favorite designs by Scharade, and of course Buck did this one, and so did Remington. This design was done by a lot of different companies. Beautiful knife. And when I replace blades in these Scharades, I always make sure to get the exact same model blade as the one that was already in it. Beautiful. Next is the brother to that one. This is a Scharade Walton version of this is a Scharade Walton 225H. Beautiful knife. One of the older versions. This one predates the old timers. Beautiful knife. This one I bought at a local pawn shop as well. And this one I was so happy to find, because you don't really find these very much. Beautiful. Next, this is one of the ones my father got me. This is a Scharade U.S. military camp knife from my Scharade collection. Dates 1982. Beautiful condition. You don't really find these very often. You always commonly find the Camillus version, but it's rare to find the Scharade version. Beautiful knife. Next is another one of my favorites. This is a Scharade Walton paratrooper knife. Another military knife that I was able to find. Beautiful knife. Again, you don't really see these very often. You see the Camillus versions, but you don't see the Scharade versions very often. This one I picked up at a local flea market for only 25 bucks, which was a hell of a steal. And the spring actually surprisingly still works pretty well. But I don't fire it very much because I want to keep the original spring intact. And I love that it has the original Bakelite handles. Beautiful knife. Next is one of my favorites in my collection. This one I picked up at a local pawn shop. And this is a 1920s Scharade automatic with the original handles. Sadly, this one has seen some use. The blade has been heavily used, but you can still make out the blade markings. And it just says Scharade Cutco, Walden, New York. No model number, sadly. Oh, wait a minute. It's got a model number on the back. My apologies. Actually, it's got a patent number, actually. Patent number 2109. Beautiful knife. Again, you don't really find these very often, and I got a good deal for it. I paid 20 bucks for it, which I thought was a little high, but I looked up on this particular knife on what this one sells for. One in very similar condition sold for right around 100 bucks as is. So I got a good deal, and this one's going to stay in my collection because it's the oldest Scharade I have, and you don't really find these very often, especially with the handles completely intact. And if I had the stuff, I would fix the spring and replace the blade, but I do not want to do that until I find the actual parts to do it. So it's one of those things. Next is one of the ones, again, my father got me. This is a Scharade Miracle Whip anniversary knife. It's kind of hard to see in the camera, but this is the Miracle Whip 15th anniversary, 1948. Get the blade open. There we go. Didn't even know Miracle Whip had been around that long. And it has the original leather pouch with it. Next is one of my Scharade trappers. The blade opens. This one is a model 330T. The Scharade Trapper version looks very similar to the mini Scharade Stockman. Beautiful knife. This one, I remember I picked this one up at a local pawn shop. Again, Scharade is one of my favorite brands. Just sucks they sold their rights. This one, if I remember right, I got in a trade from a buddy of mine. This is a model 340T. Beautiful knife. I got this in a trade with a buddy of mine. Beautiful knife. Next is a Scharade large stockman. If I remember right, this one came in a lot that I purchased off eBay. Model 80T. Again, another beautiful design. One of my favorite designs is the stockman. Next, another one of my unusual ones. This is another Scharade trapper. This one I picked up at a local pawn shop because of how unusual it is. This one is a model 960T in heavily used condition, but it still has the original toothpick and tweezers in the bottom of this. Yes, I just said toothpick and tweezers. Definitely a rare model. You don't find these very often. And it was so worth paying for it to get it in my collection because I did not have one of these, and I loved how unusual it is. Beautiful. And I don't have very many trapper knives either. Next is the one of the Uncle Henrys I have. This is a Uncle Henry Muskrat. Model number 89 Yeah, 897UH. Beautiful blade. You don't really see these very often. This one, if I remember right, I got this one in a lot as well. Of course, those who remember otherwise, please let me know in the comments. Next, this one I got from my brother a while back. This is a Scharade Walton Model 855 stainless. Beautiful. Still USA, even though they use stainless steel. Beautiful. Next is another mini trapper. This one I got from a flea market. Model number 218. Beautiful condition. I mean, almost hardly any use. There was a little bit of rust when I got it, but I got it all off, and it turned out pretty nice. Again, one of my favorite designs. This one I got from my same buddy who gave me that other Scharade, or traded me, I should say. This is a Scharade Walton, New York. No model number. Again, very beautiful knife. I always love these older bone handles because you don't really find them that much anymore, let alone intact. Beautiful knife. Getting into the last two. This is a Scharade Mini Stockman. Model number 1080T. Again, another model you don't really find anymore. This one, if I remember right, I bought this one in an eBay lot. Love how small it is, and it's a mini Stockman. To me, that's kind of cute. Last but not least, well, actually, there's one more, but I'm leaving that for last. Last but not least is this Scharade jackknife. Model number 1940T. This one was given to me by a friend at a pawn shop, and I wasn't really finding anything, and this gentleman came up to me and realized I was a knife collector, and we started talking, and he gave this to me. Thank you very much, man. If I ever run into you again, I will happily tell you thank you. I told him thank you before, but it never hurts to say it another time. He was a very good gentleman, and he seemed to know his knives, or at least his quality of knives. Beautiful. And last but not least is another China Scharade knife. I'm pretty sure Edward would be surprised that I still got this one, or JJ Jinx. And this is one of the ones he gave me in the first lots that he ever sent me. And this is a Scharade Lady Leg knife. This one I still keep brand new in the box. It's the only one I have. Scharade Singer's China. No model number. Love that design. Beautiful. Just wish it was made in the US, not China. Still kept it in the original box. I've not used it any kind of way. Again, I'm pretty sure JJ Jinx will be surprised I still have that one. Anyway, that's all my Scharade knives. I hope you've enjoyed the video. And as always, stay sharp and keep collecting.